The most frequently asked question I get on this channel is, can you wild camp on a budget? And the answer is of course yes, but there's a few steps that you need to take to make sure that you're not only comfortable but safe. Over the last 20 plus years, my bushcraft kit has changed dramatically, but the basics have stayed the same. Now, we all hate those items that get packed away and collect dust, so these few tips will help you build a reliable kit that you can take anywhere, which helps avoid costly purchases for items that don't get used all so often, and helps direct that money towards items that are more important. So the first question to ask is, why do you actually need a wild camping kit? Well, the first point would be, we all want to spend time comfortably outdoors, we want to mitigate any risks while we're outdoors, and we also want all of our needs to be provided for. That goes for shelter, food, comfort, all of these things. And with the growing trend of wild camping becoming more popular, it's easy to find a highly saturated and overwhelming choice of gear, bags, loadouts, and information. So that's why I brought out with me today a safe but budget-friendly wild camping kit full of the essentials that you need to have a comfortable and enjoyable time out in the wild. This kit has been rigorously used on multiple expeditions and trips by myself, and it's evolved a numerous amount of times, and it will continue to evolve. But this is just a simple kit to make sure that when you're out wild camping or bushcrafting, you have everything you need and you don't put money where it's not needed. So the first thing and most important thing when you're going out is a backpack. This is a Miltech 36 litre backpack, and it's about £36, so it's on the lower end of the spectrum, but a perfect day or overnight kit. In here right now I have everything I need for an overnight trip, and that will keep me safe, comfortable, and there shouldn't be anything that I'm looking for when I have this kit with me. As you can see, I have a first aid kit on this side, which is one of the most important bits of kit bar the backpack. You never know what kind of scenarios you're going to get into, especially when using tools outside or cooking with an open fire. So a first aid kit well stocked is definitely one to have, and I will go into depths about my first aid kit on a future video. You can see on there that I have my first of many survival bits of kit on me. This is a survival bracelet that has a compass, fire lighter, extra cordage and a whistle. It's a handy place to keep it on your first aid kit, because when you're grabbing that, you've also got a means of communication and emergency fire lighting, navigation, just in case things go wrong. On the other side I have the beginning of my cook kit or brew kit, and in the front pocket I have the lid for my cup, a small wilderness wash with brush and scraper, some storm matches just in case I need to get my stove going quickly, and also some disinfectant Q-tips. You can never really go too far with having some first aid bits near your cook kit. In here I have a clean canteen with water, and in the bottom just a titanium mug, which I won't take out, and again I'll do a video on my cook kit in the future. But very quickly we're starting to become comfortable in the woods. This extends to a few bits within the kit in my possibles bag, but that is always easy to grab if I need a drink and I want to get something going for a little morale boost. Now, moving into the backpack, we go into the next important stage of a wild camping kit, which is sleep kit. I have a simple bivvy bag here, and there's multiple companies that do these. This is a snug pack, but there's companies like Galert that do them, and it is worth investing in a good one, but there are some cheaper alternatives. I use a 3x3 square tarp. This is an ultralight one. Again, there's much cheaper options, and you can get them for about £40. The reason I have one of these, which is an ultralight stronger one, and it's a bit more expensive, is because I want to rely on this when I'm on longer trips. Something cheaper doesn't always last for a long period of time, so when I'm doing these kinds of trips more often, it's worth investing in something. But as a simple 3x3 tarp, you can see how small you can pack it down, and it's nice and simple and gives you all the protection you do need. Then as a base layer for the ground, especially in damper climates or conditions, I like to use a poncho, which also serves as a spare emergency shelter, as well as a waterproof covering for your body or persons if you need it. On my tarp, you can see that all of my lines that I need are surrounded on. My ridge line here, which albeit a bit slack at the moment, is very easy to get off and get things set up. It's got some antler toggles on there just to make tightening easy, and my guy lines are also within inside this bundle. The next thing I like to always take with me when I'm going out, and this again varies dependent on what scenario I'm going to find myself in, but it's called a possibles bag, and as many of you who have watched my channel for years will know, this thing comes with me everywhere. It's just simply a fishing tackle box that I picked up years ago, and it has this segmented interior which makes organisation very easy. This is again where my cook kit becomes extended, and also an extension of very many other bits of kit in my backpack. I have tent pegs in the top, and not only can I use those for my tarp or my guy lines, but I can also use those for cooking as a pot hanger or for a stand over a Trangia stove. I have a penknife and some morale boosts, things like hot chocolate and some flavour. Again, I have some storm matches, pocket bellows, a survival necklace which has a compass, a flashlight, a whistle and a spare ferro rod. That's on a cork float in case I'm going anywhere near water. And also I have some really very thin bank line, but very, very strong and tough. That comes on a lovely dispenser with a cutter on it as well, and it just keeps things nice and organised. I have a sharpening stone for my knife, a trowel and some other first aid bits like spray plasters. There's also a notebook in the top, but that's my possibles pouch, and it keeps me covered for basically any scenario that you need. In there also you could chuck a power bank and a spare head torch, but my head torch is actually kept in the front of my bag here, just for quick and easy access. But already we're starting to become way more comfortable and start to know that we've got things covered if we do need it in our bag. A simple cook kit is always very handy, and again this is an extension of my brew kit. This is just a pouch with inside a billy can. Now these zebra billy cans are very versatile, and what I love about them is there's many other little mods for them. In here I actually have a little grill from rough timber that slides in and makes it into an oven, and this on top allows you to stack coals. So fantastic little mods for this, but it comes with a plate or a spare dish which you can turn into a frying pan with a split stick, and a nice deep billy can for boiling or cooking or baking. So a really simple but versatile bit of kit for cooking up on. And cook kits are always something you rely heavily on when you're outdoors, so having something that's easy to clean and versatile like the zebra billy can fits me down to a T. And to finish off with cook kit, if you're not going to be using a fire or an open flame, then something like a Trangia stove is invaluable. It just uses liquid methylated spirits and a small, very easy to maintain burner, which again you can use the tent pegs around to make a trivet so you can rest your pot on top, and it just saves you having to carry extra bits of kit. But a very versatile flame, a very versatile cooker, and something even for the morning when you want a quick brew on and don't want to get the fire going. Very versatile bits of kit, and if I'm out on a day trip, that's what I tend to usually take with me if I'm not going to light a fire. And arguably one of the most important bits of kit, which is where I warrant most people put their money, is a sleeping bag. I've opted for a Corinthia Defence 1 sleeping bag here, but there's various seasons that go up in this bag, but this is very, very good down to 5 degrees or even 0 at a push. Sleeping bags really are where you want to put your money. They're going to keep you warm, especially when that temperature drops. And when you get something more expensive, they generally tend to pack down to a smaller size, which is always a bonus. Air mats are also another option, and a great versatile choice when you're going camping. They're very lightweight, take up very minimal space. But the con to them is that they can puncture easily, which is why if I was going on a budget setup, and I do very often, use a foam roll mat. One from Decathlon can range from between 10 to 15 pounds with a very good R value, and you'll often find that closed cell foam like that has a higher R value than air without the addition of extra reflective materials, which then in turn increase the cost for you, the buyer. So starting with something simple like a foam roll mat strapped to the underneath or to the side of your backpack is a perfect option. And if you're not going out for the night, but you're only going out for a day trip, it doesn't hurt to take one of these, a survival bivvy bag or a body bag or a survival mylar blanket. You never know what circumstance you might get into, and something like this has saved many people's lives in the past. Being prepared even when out on a day hike is always best. So even if I'm just out, there's always one of these in my kit. Now, if you're going out for extended periods of times or just on an overnighter and you're near a water source, it's always a good idea to bring with you a filtration set or a purification kit. Obviously, you can purify water by boiling it, but you can't reduce the sediment. Now, if you are just looking to lighten this a lot, you could always just reduce it down to a simple bandana and a boiling pot. That would be more than fine. But in here, I have a towel just as an emergency in case I need to get dry, which I tend to keep in my kit anyway, and it just seems a clever place to put it when I have my water filtration kit with me, considering this stuff usually is always damp. But inside there's just a simple Sawyer water filter system and a millbank bag to filter out the sediment. This is not so important on day trips or overnight trips unless you're near a water source and you're relying on this for your water consumption. Obviously, the less water you carry in, the lighter your loadout's going to be, considering water weighs a kilogram per litre. And if you're putting out a fire, you need a considerable amount of water. So it's always handy to have a local water source and have a way to collect it and filter it safely. And again, the towel is just a very simple microfiber towel from MSR. They're not expensive, but it can dry a whole body very, very quickly and dries out equally as quickly. I also have a waterproof jacket in the bottom of my bag. This is the new bearskin jacket, and a woolly beanie just in case things start to get a bit cold or a bit damp. I also, in this pocket, have some toilet roll in the bag. Obviously that's good for health and safety and for personal cleanliness, but it can also be used as an emergency fire starter or tinder material if needed, especially being nice and dry. And all that's left really in a cohesive bushcraft kit is your tool selection. One of the most important bits of kit in a bushcraft loadout, the knife or the tool. I tend to use a one tool option quite a lot of the time. A saw is very handy, and on extended trips, very, very versatile. But for day trips, a knife like this, fixed blade, is perfect. There are cheaper knives available like the Mora, which I absolutely think is a perfect beginner bushcraft blade. But if you want to go up to something a bit more pretty with a wooden handle and a leather sheath, something like this is a perfect starter knife. It's a perfect size, it's really nimble, it's meaty enough to do some tasks like batoning, it's perfect for kitchen and food prep, and it's perfect for using with a fire steel, which is obviously the fire starting method that I often opt for. But it's not the only one. You've seen that I've got storm matches in both of my cook kit and my possibles pouch, and I also always keep a lighter generally on my person or in my bag as well. There are though other options for knives like the Moras. They're fantastic starter knives, so don't be swayed just to get an expensive knife. As long as it's full tang, it's going to suit perfectly for doing wild camping and bushcraft. Although if you're out and you don't want to be carrying a fixed blade, which is understandable here in the UK, our laws are very much stricter than other parts of the world. An everyday carry folder is perfectly versatile for bushcrafting and wild camping, although not up for some of the meatier tasks like batoning, and there comes a level of safety concern with that folding blade, which is why most bushcrafters will always advocate for a fixed blade knife. But what comes with that is great responsibility and a need to know safety, and of course, first aid. So I do hope that's highlighted how you can build an efficient wild camping kit to be safe and comfortable whilst outdoors. There's places where you should put your money like your sleeping bag and your sleep system, but other areas like the backpack, the knife, like the possibles pouches, the cook kit, that can be a very much more basic kit, and things from multiple stores and locations are available, so it's always worth shopping around. And one of the most important things I will say is when you do go out, make sure that you're set to have a good and comfortable time. That is where the joy begins, and that is what allows you to then dissect your kit and think, what did I not use this time and what can I afford to take out of my kit on my next trip? That's how evolutions begin, and please do share down below if there's any iterations that you think I've left out of my essential bushcraft kit, and if there's any things that you also include in yours. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe and I'll see you soon.